and I'm recording content as we speak.
Okay, do me a favor and just clap.
I'm going to do you a favor and I'm going to clap.
Do it one more time just in case. All right. So that way your audio is getting into my mic.
And you can sync it up.
And I can sync it up easy. I think that'll be easier than what I tried to do last time.
All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Robert San Francisco podcast. My name's Keane, and I'm here with Cody, and we're going to talk about Seinfeld episode 2.
Hey, do you have a timer going?
Yeah, we are at 45 seconds.
Oh, you do have a timer going.
Yeah.
All right.
Doesn't your QuickTime give you a timer?
Yeah, but I have my phone in front of my computer, my notes in front of my recording software.
Oh, man. Very professional studio we're both working with here.
Yeah. Anyway, all right, so we're episode 2 of the podcast, and go figure, episode 2 of Seinfeld. What are the odds?
Yeah, the stakeout. That's the name of this episode. And
you'll have to remind me every time we watch a new episode because I never pay attention to the episode names.
Yeah, well, I've got to name the podcast episode after the episode name so people can line it up.
Oh, good idea. I didn't even think about that.
So, in this episode, again, if you're just joining us for the podcast, which you probably are because it's a brand new podcast, we're going to go scene by scene and kind of not digest, what's the word I want? Pick apart each scene.
Which, if you think about it, digestion is just molecularly picking apart substances. So, I mean, we're digesting it.
Hey, did you ever hear about, I watched this crazy video where there was this guy and I swear to God, he was from Mackinac Island. Like he lived with a scientist on Mackinac Island or something.
What?
And he survived getting shot in the stomach. And so what we know about digestion in the stomach comes from this guy living with a hole in his stomach. And the scientist watching what happens when he fed him different foods. I swear this is, I'm not making it up. I don't think I'm making it up.
So anyway, episode 2 of Seinfeld, we open, as usual, with a stand-up bit from Mr. Jerry Seinfeld himself, which the first note that I have written down is just check comedy, because nothing's funnier than talking about checks.
I just want to say, somehow Jerry Seinfeld makes every stand-up piece misogynistic in some way.
He does. I said that too. What? The implication in this whole sketch is that women spend a lot of money, which it's just, I don't know. Maybe it just seems outdated now. Maybe at the time it wasn't as on the nose.
Look, in my experience, it might be anecdotal, but in my experience, women spend money on things that make sense. Things that they need. They prepare ahead of time. Where men will wait till the last minute to buy something pertinent, but then waste a bunch of money on stupid shit.
Like how I bought the entire Beavis and Butthead collection because I was too paranoid about only going into a store today to buy a bar of soap.
Yeah, I think a woman would have went in there, bought enough soap to last at least
3 years.
No, at least a month. They're prepared for the month with soap. And they're definitely not buying Beavis and Butthead. I'm not. I probably
maybe they are. Don't
are.
shoehorn women into not buying Beavis and Butthead because we don't know.
I'm just saying. Look, Jerry Seinfeld. Every fucking joke that he has is misogynistic.
Yeah.
In these little stand-up bits, and he said that specifically that checks are non-masculine. And
yeah. I think the crux of this this whole thing is the fact that we grew up when checks were kind of on their way out, debit cards and credit cards were kind of becoming way more popular when we were growing up. So maybe we don't get the subtle nuances of masculine and feminine traits of a banknote.
No. I'm going to cut you off here. There is no.
I was being facetious, by the way.
All right, part of my typing, you're probably gonna have to edit this out. But
that's all right.
Okay. I just want to say that genderizing inanimate objects is not funny. It never has been funny. Maybe in the early 90s somebody found this funny, but it doesn't hold up. And he's a one-trick pony. He's just last episode it was the femininity of cotton balls, and now it's the femininity of writing a check.
Yeah.
So anyway,
I don't remember him relying on this trope later on. I don't remember this being a consistent feature of his stand-up comedy. So hopefully it gets a little better.
But he's one of those people in 2020 who's he's against being politically correct because he thinks it's ruining comedy. comedy.
Yeah.
But that's like, okay, well.
Well, then you clearly don't pay attention to any comedy or comedians now. That's such a ignorant statement.
It's just because he can't conform to the times.
Yeah.
But anyway.
All right, let's get out of this. Enough talk.
Scene 1, we open with Jerry and Elaine in a video store.
Yes, and Elaine making her first appearance in
and
the show.
I just want to say, last episode I was wrong. She is in season 1. I misremembered. She's just not in episode 1.
I don't even remember you making that statement, so I guess it's all good.
Yeah, well,
other people probably will, but oh well.
No. Seriously, Kayla, I was watching this episode with Kayla, and she goes, "Didn't you say that Elaine's not in season 1?"
She calls you out.
Yeah.
All right, so Elaine and Jerry are at the video store. I wrote a note that I like the writing of this scene because it establishes the relationship between them pretty quickly, that you immediately understand that they are a separated couple that are trying to maintain a friendship with each other, but still have that kind of flirtiness between them. And
yeah.
I don't know, I like how they got that across. They got that across pretty well, you know. Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe I'm looking too much into it. I don't know.
Look, I think they did a great job introducing her. I think Elaine came across as charming, way out of Jerry's league.
Absolutely.
You know? Like, of course, Jerry Seinfeld's like, hey, let me get, Julia Dreyfus because she's way out of my league. And it's like the Chevy Chase thing, where Chevy Chase in all of his movies, he's with like somebody who's way out of his league. That's the Jerry Seinfeld thing, too. Well,
Chevy Chase is also hilarious. As much of an asshole that he is, he's one of the funniest people alive.
I don't know.
This is the thing, though, is Jerry Seinfeld is not funny. He's not.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is I like later in the episode, Jerry introduces himself to someone we'll meet later as, I'm a comedian, and all I can think of is everyone around him is funnier than him. At least they're written that way.
Right.
Maybe that's the joke. I don't know.
Look, if there's two people that haven't aged well in Hollywood, it's Billy Crystal and Chevy Chase. Life has been very hard on those two men.
But like I said, I've seen recent-ish interviews with Chevy Chase. Guy's still a laugh-a-minute man. He's pretty good.
What? Never mind. Anyway,
okay.
We'll get back to the scene.
Hey, this is great. We this is awesome because we can edit all of this out now.
We're only 9 minutes in.
I'll edit all of this out. We have plenty of time to talk.
No, that's fine. You don't have to edit it.
No, I'm editing it. I'll keep our argument about me editing it in, but I'm going to edit everything out.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
So, something that I like to do when we go through these scenes is come up with questions to ask you. And I have a ton for each scene.
Okay.
I just want to... Let's make this an interview podcast.
I love it.
So,
because Cody, you know that I give stupid answers to everything.
Yeah, well, I think you and I, growing up, had a mutual video store that we would go to. And we'd go...
maybe. Which one did you go to?
Okay, well, I guess in our teenage years?
Okay, all right. Because as a kid, I went to the Depot for movies. Remember that?
Wow. No, I never went to the Depot for movies.
Yeah, they had movies for a long time. Anyway, and then I went to Pat's. You remember Pat's had the video store?
Yeah, in the hardware section, they had like the cubby. Yeah, we got movies from there sometimes.
Yeah. Anyway, okay, so you're talking about Family Video then.
Yeah, so we both familiar with Family Video, and unfortunately, it was a family-friendly place. There was no back room. Like, Jerry and Elaine find porn just sitting out.
Did you say there was no back room?
There's no porn room at Family Video.
Yes, there was. Absolutely there was. I was in it.
Go ahead.
If you were at the entrance and you look straight back, you know how there was like almost a divot in the room to the left?
Yeah.
That was the porn room. There was a doorway there. You probably never noticed it.
Of course you would know where it is.
Well, yeah, because I was a weird teenager and someone we went to high school with was working there at the time. And I'll be honest, I didn't know there was a porn room either until she said something about it. Like, man, have you gone in there recently? Like, I didn't even know this existed. I thought it was a closet room or something.
I feel like the porn room at a Blockbuster would I don't know what to say about that. Would it be hell? I don't know if it would be hell. It'd be sticky, for sure. The porn room at Family Video was just sad because it was so small that it only warranted like one light fixture at the top, like one strip of fluorescent bulbs.
And it was like one mini rack in the middle of the room, and then all four walls had racks on them. And it was just like, I mean, we're lucky to have grown up in the age of the internet. I can't imagine like relying on that room.
Yeah, I know. It's like each generation of people has had like different forms of pornography.
Yeah.
And so I think back like Generation X is probably they're the ones dealing with the DVDs.
Yeah.
And then like baby boomers are dealing with like magazines hidden in the woods in a shoebox,
Yeah.
you know. And then traditionalists are just like fucking hand drawing something, you know.
Hand drawings, not photos.
They're going to a museum
drawings.
they're going to a museum to see a painting.
Yeah.
So anyway, Jerry and Elaine kind of make fun of like porn stars, and I feel like probably with the general public this hasn't changed much, but I would say like if I had a kid and they became a porn star, as long as they were like being safe so they didn't get like STDs and stuff like that, I really don't care.
Yeah.
You know, if you can make a living having sex on camera, I really don't care. So I think this kind of like judgmental humor is on its way out.
I agree. We have to keep reminding ourselves that this was also, 30 years ago? 30? Yeah, 30 years ago.
Yeah, it gives me hope for the future. It's like when I watch Seinfeld and they make like a joke that really doesn't land or seems outdated. It's like, oh, at least I'm not living through this.
Yeah. So
I do have
go ahead.
I do have a couple more notes here.
Oh, about the video store.
About the video store.
Okay.
I just want to say, I'll make it quick. Elaine is wearing a white blouse and a yellow jacket. Super cute outfit.
I don't think I noticed. I didn't notice her outfit.
Yeah, her maiden voyage outfit is like, it's great. I could see Kayla wearing something like this.
I still subscribe to her outfit when she was like a blue collar worker in whatever episode. We'll get to it eventually. But she's wearing like really ratty oversized clothes, and they're all covered in paint or something. And she's wearing like Keds or Vans or something.
Oh,
that was her coolest outfit. Little flat brim dad cap. Very nice.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
I'm excited for that. I don't remember that.
Yeah, I could be totally remembering it wrong too. Might have been a dream I had.
Well, so Jerry and Elaine in this scene, they're like making a mutual agreement. So Jerry wants Elaine to come to a wedding with him, and Elaine wants Jerry to come out to dinner with her friend Pamela for her birthday, but there's like a group of strangers. I just want to say, if you asked me to go to a wedding, I'm probably not going to go. I don't like weddings. And if you asked me to go out with a bunch of people I don't know, I'm probably not going to go. That sounds like a nightmare. And yet both of them agree to this. Like, were people just more accepting of this shit back in the 90s or what?
I honestly think, I really do. I think that people were maybe a little bit more open to just doing shit like that. Because there's less, we live in an age of like constant distraction. You could go home and do 5 billion things to take your mind off of something. Back then you had cable TV, maybe a movie or two, going out to eat, which yeah. requires social interaction.
Right.
Like,
I less things to do while isolated.
Yeah.
I guess you could read. That's about it.
Yeah. But who reads anymore? Reading's for chumps.
Hey, look, social media is reading. You gotta read, right?
Yeah, I guess. Technically, in a way.
Anyway,
okay. Yeah, in that situation, nowadays, if you would ask me to... Actually, I don't know. I feel like I'm more open than you. If you asked me to go to a wedding, I'd probably go.
Look, okay, I might go to a wedding, but I'm not going out to eat with a bunch of strangers.
Yeah, if you invited me with, like, a bunch of people you went to school with or something, or go to school with, yeah. I wouldn't go.
No, you're not going to have a good time.
No.
So we'll go to scene 2 unless you have a note. You got any notes left?
The only note I have is Elaine is funnier than Jerry. That's the only note I have.
Way more charming, way better.
Yeah.
And this is just, it continues the motif that every character on screen is better than Jerry Seinfeld.
He does redeem himself a few times. He has a joke later on that we'll get to that I thought was pretty funny. Actually, in the next scene, do they go straight to the dinner in the next scene?
They do. Scene 2 is out to dinner at Pam's birthday.
Okay, so explain the scene and I'll tell you what I liked about it.
So Jerry and Elaine sit down at like a fancier restaurant and they're meeting up with 6 other people, and they meet Pam, and then there's a woman sitting across from Jerry. We find out that her name is Vanessa, and they're kind of flirting and talking, and then Elaine interrupts Jerry trying to flirt with this woman, and he's annoyed. So you get his inner monologue being like, why are you talking to me? Stop talking to me. Yeah. And Elaine's like, I had a dream. It was about you, but you weren't you. And anyway, that's pretty much it. So Jerry's trying to flirt, and Elaine kind of blocks that from happening.
So the thing I thought was the funniest about this scene, which seems totally arbitrary, but the way that he says it got me laughing pretty hard. Was Elaine is describing this whole dream to Jerry, and like you said, you get his inner monologue, and he finally gets to a point where he can kind of like get a word in, and he just says, after Elaine has described this ridiculous scenario, he goes, "How do you like that?" And I forgot. I kind of forgot how good of a phrase "how do you like that" is. I don't hear that enough.
Yeah, I think it's like it almost tells the person I'm not listening.
Yeah.
But it's also not super offensive because you're asking them to go on.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah,
How do you like that? Yeah. I feel like that's like the what's the modern version of that? How do you like that? Like, you don't say, or even that's a little dated too. Like that kind of. Like, you're recognizing...
No, I got it.
What?
I got it. The modern day version is like, whoa, that's crazy.
Oh, yeah, that's it. Oh, man, that's crazy. Yeah, you're indicating to the person talking that you are, like, half listening to them, but you really don't care about what they're talking about. Yeah. So Jerry is trying to flirt with this girl. He's unsure if the man that she's sitting next to could possibly be her boyfriend or husband. We don't know. And they leave together. But before they leave, she tells Jerry what law office that she works at. And part of his inner monologue is repeating the name of the law office so he doesn't forget it in hopes of going later. So that pretty much ends the scene. After that, we see Jerry and... Oh, did you have something to say?
I do. I wanted to point out a couple things. First of all, this episode...
I feel like you take way more notes than I do.
We need to get in the habit of... Because... You know, a lot of people will comment on how, like, things could be solved with modern technology. And this made me think of Kayla, who is, like, a sleuth when it comes to looking people up on social media.
Oh, she'd find everything about that girl out in a second.
Yeah, episode over.
Yeah.
You know, she'd have her address.
Yeah.
So I just want to say, like, this could not happen today. And while Jerry is flirting, the woman says, like, take your jacket off, get comfortable. And Jerry's like, oh, I'm always cold. And she goes, how masculine. And again,
I did not even catch that.
Yeah, she's like, so if you get cold, you're feminine, and then somehow that's bad.
Yeah.
But I think both men and women are equally susceptible to the cold. You know.
Well, you would think, biologically speaking, we're probably close to the same level.
Yeah. Anyway, just anytime there's misogyny, I'm going to point it out.
All right, I think that's fair.
Yeah, so we can move on to scene 3, and scene 3 takes place in the back of a tiny taxi.
Yeah.
That looks like it's a VW Beetle. And it's between Jerry and Elaine having a conversation about dinner. I didn't take any notes for this scene, so if you got some.
I didn't have any. There's not much to say. In a nutshell, it is clear that Elaine knew that Jerry was trying to flirt with this girl. And them having been... They don't say how long ago they broke up, but I'm assuming it's probably like... Not too long after.
If I'm not mistaken, maybe they didn't say it this episode, but they say it in season 1. I'll probably end up being wrong, but I swear at this point they've been broken up for 1 year.
You know what? That does sound familiar. They might have mentioned that at some point. But, okay, so yeah, a year, and I feel like that's definitely long enough for them to both have moved on relatively well, but probably not long enough for one of them to feel a little jealous if they start seeing other people. So and clearly Elaine is upset that Jerry is trying to talk to this girl, and that's pretty much the extent of the exchange in the text. So
we move on
to a big plot issue. Well,
hang on.
Yes,
there's Jerry stand up. Another
I didn't even take notes on this.
And the only reason I bring it up, I mean, maybe in the future we should ignore these, but he's making fun of platonic relationships and saying
Plato's name that he
and saying that a guy named Rico just tries to like sleep with women right away. And
never mind.
And that's
I do have a note on that. I did laugh at that joke. Only because I think it's hilarious. That's the idea of someone, a man walking up to a woman saying, "Hi, my name's Rico. Would you like to go to bed immediately?" that exact phrasing I think is really funny. So I did. The rest of the stand up was not very good, but I did think it was funny.
You delivered it way better. Like you made it way funnier than he made it.
Maybe that's Seinfeld's issue is he's just not very good at delivering jokes. No. The content's okay. Maybe that's why he makes a better writer.
He's the USPS of delivering jokes.
Tell me about it. I'm waiting on a lot of packages.
So scene 4 opens, and we're in Jerry's apartment.
And like I said, one of the biggest, what do you call it?
Continuity errors.
One of the biggest continuity errors in the show that at least I can remember is we see Jerry's parents in the apartment.
And his dad's a different person.
His dad is not his dad that we have grown to love. He is certainly not as funny. No. Way older looking than Jerry's other dad, his real dad.
Yeah, I didn't do any research on this actor, but he's not funny. I'm glad that they replaced him. He does look old. He probably died, and that's why they got rid of him.
I thought that. I was like, man, that would be pretty cool.
I think the show's better for it, whatever happened, because this guy stinks.
Yeah. This guy stinks. Anyway.
So there's just a couple funny things. The main point of the scene is that Jerry's talking to his parents about this woman, how he wants to track this woman down. He knows where she works. And Jerry's mom is saying, just get her number from Pam, Elaine's friend, and, you can talk to her that way. And then Jerry's dad is saying, do a stakeout at her work and wait for her, and then, lie about why you're there.
Yeah.
And so Jerry eventually opts for that, hence the name of the episode, The Stakeout.
Which is funny, because at this point, in my head, I was thinking, man, where's George? And
I took a note that at this point in the episode, I am bored because George is not on scene.
So we kind of had the same thought. I was upset because George had not entered the show yet. But I thought it was funny that the advice that his dad gives is very George advice.
Oh, super.
So it's funny. At this point, I was thinking, well, that's something George would say. And then in my head, I'm like, I wondered, is George in this episode? I can't remember an episode that George isn't in. So I kind of got worried for a second. I was like, man, George better be in this one. And then literally a minute later, we see...
I knew he had to be at the stakeout. Yeah. I knew.
There's a lot in this next scene. So we see George and Jerry. Is there stand-up? Is there more stand-up?
No. I have a couple notes about the scene 4 in the apartment.
Oh, wow. Well, you do take a lot of notes. I'm trying to roll through this.
I want to point out interesting facts. Like Elaine is from Maryland, apparently. Also,
I did not even notice that.
Also, I wanted to ask you, are you staking out?
Am I staking out?
Would
I stake out?
You going to get the number from Elaine, even though it would be awkward? Like, hey, Elaine, can you get the number from Pam to get Vanessa's number? Or are you going to stake out?
I would not be I worry about friending someone on Facebook because I worry that they think I was creepy. I could not imagine staking someone out at their own work and then trying to fabricate a reason for being there. That's insane. Yeah. I would bite the bullet and just ask Elaine.
Look, if one thing has changed in the past 30 years, it is what is deemed acceptable for white men to do.
Yes.
And I don't think randomly showing up at a woman's work and lying about why you're there is appropriate.
Absolutely not. I don't think anyone, which is upsetting because I'm sure there are people that still think, I'm sure there's someone that's watched that episode of Seinfeld now and been like, oh, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah, don't stick out.
Yeah, don't.
Guys, if you're listening, don't stick out.
Do not listen to Jerry's false father for advice. Anyway.
All right.
I'll let you set the pace for the episode since you have a lot to say.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I feel like I'm so wordy here. I'm the one trying to keep us to 30 minutes. So the next scene is scene 5, the elevator, and George finally makes his appearance, looking great.
He does look good.
And there's this joke we didn't mention, but Jerry's dad says something about Laurie Anderson and
Lonnie Anderson.
Lonnie Anderson. I don't know who that is.
I know who Laurie Anderson is, but I do not know who Lonnie Anderson is.
I didn't know who Lonnie Anderson was. When this episode came out, I think I was like -5 or -4. Okay. So I looked her up, and I just want to say, in the beginning of this scene, George is like, okay, what's this woman look like? And Jerry goes, I don't know, kind of like Lonnie Anderson. She looks nothing like Lonnie Anderson at all.
Okay, I will say that I did not look up a picture of Lonnie Anderson, but I think that joke is great. I even wrote in my notes that joke is pretty good, because I think it's like, Jerry doesn't think that she looks like Lonnie Anderson either. He's just saying that stupid thing that his dad said in the scene previous.
Look, I
thought it was a pretty good callback.
I think it's insulting to Vanessa. Vanessa is like...
Oh, she's gorgeous.
Yeah, she's a beautiful woman. And Lonnie Anderson looks like the female Michael Jackson.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe that's mean, but
Would you say
Anyway.
the more feminine Michael Jackson, Keane?
Pass.
Okay.
Anyway.
Good answer.
We in this scene we begin the George architect motif,
Yes.
which will last the entire series.
There are a few, well, I guess a couple, very interesting things to say in this scene. So yes, we get the beginning of him pretending to be an architect.
As an excuse for like why him and Jerry are at this place.
Yes.
Because George supposedly works there as an architect.
And then we also are introduced to what will pretty much throughout the series be known as Art Vanderlei. But I didn't know his name originally wasn't Art Vanderlei.
Oh yeah, what Cordelay
It
or
was
something?
Corvelay.
Oh yeah, Corvelay.
Because Art Vanderlei is referenced in the series a lot, right?
See, I don't know. That might be news to me.
I feel like Art Vanderlei is a name that's brought up a lot in the series, unless I'm totally making this up. I could be too. But I specifically remember the name Art Vanderlei. I don't remember it starting as Art Corvelay. That's just an interesting point.
Art Vanderlei.
Also, I'd like to point out another dumb, interesting point. The door behind them says Cody's Coffee Shop.
Yeah, I was watching it and I didn't see it, and Kayla goes, "That door says Cody's Coffee Shop," and ironically, it's right behind George.
Maybe that's an omen, or that's a sign that I should finally open that coffee shop that I've been dreaming to.
In this scene, George is trying to come up with names, and I forget what the first name he tries to come up with is, but Jerry's like, it sounds made up. It's like I think it was like Mark Cumberland or something.
I can't remember.
My question is, right now, can you come up with a realistic sounding name on the spot?
That is difficult because you don't want to like make it too typical. You don't want to say like Bobby Smith because that's too easy.
Yeah.
But you also don't want to say something like
Look, you breaking down
Krotzman Jim Jam or something.
You breaking down the question like this tells me that you can't do it.
No,
Like, you answered the question.
No. I'm under the gun now. But I feel like in situations where I have had to make up fake names, I'm usually pretty good. There's a formula to it, and it's in my head. I can't verbalize it, but there is a formula to it. It's like you could pretty much get away with whatever you want for the first name. Just come up with any like normal first name. Jimmy, Daryl, Danny, Barry. Doesn't matter. The last name is the most important part. And it's got to be like, I feel like you can't always end it with man. So you can't say like, you can't look at an object and go, oh, Jerry Bierman. Like that's a little too like, I don't know. That might give it away too much.
If you were in Iceland, you could do it.
Bierman?
Oh no, never mind. That it would be like Bierman's son.
Biermanzinski. That's a little Jewish.
it's a little Polish.
Yeah, there you go.
Look,
it's a little Yiddish.
Yeah, I think if you're coming up with a name on the spot, I agree that last name is most important. But I literally, it's not that hard. I think George makes it seem harder than it is. Doris Patterson.
Wow, that was pretty good. That's a real person.
Not that I know.
I'm convinced.
So anyway, all right.
I
think that's what I got. So why don't we move on to scene 6?
I do have one note. Right. I have a note.
Hold the phone.
I do like the maneuver that Jerry pulls. They what's her name? Vanessa, you said? I already forgot.
Oh yeah, we didn't really explain like them meeting her.
Yeah.
So we should probably
okay, well, Vanessa comes down from the elevator. They do their spiel. They're meeting their make-believe friend who is in Mr. Art Vanderlei, who is in imports and exports. George shoehorns the fact that he's an architect for no reason, and you can see a snide little look from Jerry. But Vanessa, they talk to Vanessa, and they determine that the man that she was with at the dinner party was her cousin. And as soon as Jerry hears this, he says, "Oh, your cousin!" And as he says that, he slides in front of George.
I did see that.
I thought that was pretty good. That was a good little choreographed comedy move there, I thought.
Yeah, it's kind of funny that I feel like George, his motif throughout the series is trying to impress women with lies.
Yes. And then Jerry delivers a really, really great pickup line, which is, "Do you date immature men?" To which he replies, "Almost exclusively."
I missed that. I must have been like writing down a note.
Yeah, I thought that was a good line.
That's pretty funny. Do you date immature men?
Almost exclusively. All right, so let's move on.
You should use that. You should use that line.
Oh, my laptop's there.
Oh, that's not good. Oh, there you go. Lifesaver.
There we go.
All right, so this might be, I'll be honest, at this point, I was not enjoying this episode as much as the first episode. And then we get to this scene where Jerry and his mom are playing Scrabble. And it was funny to me because you and I have played Scrabble on occasion.
Yes.
And constantly argue about what is a word and what isn't a word.
Yes.
And so, at some point, somebody says that "whoa" is not a word. Like
I couldn't make out what they were trying to say. If it was "whoa" or if it was, I don't. It just seems weird that they would just say "whoa." Like maybe W-O. I guess we'll never know because we didn't see the Scrabble word. But
yeah, I know, but it sounds like "whoa," and "whoa" is 3 words. Like it could be W-O-A-H, W-H-O-A,
yeah,
or it could be W-O-E.
Yeah.
So anyway, really the scene is focused on that, like Jerry and his mom playing Scrabble, and they're like intermittently talking about the Vanessa situation. Mm-hmm. And Kramer comes in. Again, I just want to say, young Kramer, what a smoke show.
And I will also say, I feel like from episode 1 to 2, Kramer definitely developed his character quite a bit. I feel like even by episode 2, Kramer is more like the Kramer that we know throughout the series. His first episode, he was pretty mild. This one, he amped it up a little bit.
Yeah, he definitely stood out from everybody else in this scene.
Yes.
He convinces Jerry's mom to play the word quone. And Jerry's like, I challenge it. Yeah. And Kramer's like, you don't have to challenge it. Quone's a word, like
to quone
something.
Someone. Yeah, he starts with to quone something.
And they look it up, and obviously it's not in the dictionary.
Well, this is the interesting way that they had decided to illustrate the fact that it wasn't in the dictionary. Was that Jerry points it out and says, "There it is." He opens the dictionary and says, "There it is."
Oh, really?
Which, yeah, and I understand that they're probably saying that it's not where it would be if it was in the dictionary. But it's weird that you would point something out by not being in the dictionary by saying, "There it is."
Yeah,
that didn't make much sense. I didn't like that very much. But Kramer's response to that was hilarious because he goes, "You need a medical dictionary. When you have an unruly patient, you have to quone them."
Yeah, and let me just say, I'm a nurse that has had my fair share of unruly patients.
Have you had to quone?
I've never quoned.
Okay.
I've never quoned.
Is quoned the past tense of quone? I guess I don't know. I don't know I don't know the medical terminology.
Yeah. But maybe this is like a change in the past 30 years. Maybe nurses and doctors used to quone patients.
Did you look up the word quone to see if maybe there was some shot that it was actually a medical term?
No.
You should look it up.
I didn't.
You should look it up. I doubt it is, but boy, it would be funny if it was.
How do you think you'd spell it? I thought like Q-U-O-N-E.
That's what I said, to quone, or Q-U-O-A-N.
I'll look it up here real quick.
I'm leaving all this in.
Don't leave it in.
I'm leaving it in. We're gonna rack up the time. This soap smells so good. Oh my.
Quone.
No way.
Definition of quone from Collins Dictionary. Fictional medical term. But can be used to mean something you have to do and can't remember the word to say.
Wow.
So.
I guess Seinfeld can write the rules of language.
I love the idea that it's the definition of quone is a made up word. So anyway, let me get my notes back up here. Jerry gets a letter in the scene, something that alerts him to that Elaine knows about the stakeout, and so he's concerned.
Yeah.
That she knows. That's it. We can go to the next scene.
Okay.
Oh, I did want to say that Jerry's mom is a sore loser. Jerry looks up the word quone, it's not in the dictionary, and then she goes, "I'm done." She quits playing the game.
I think I've done that before. I think I've been so far in the hole in Scrabble that I've just quit. If you know you're gonna lose, just rip the Band-Aid off.
I get it, but we didn't see that. We didn't know how far behind she was. The most relatable part of the scene was how long she took to try to play a word, because when you and I play, obviously we're pretty quick.
No, I think I take forever.
Oh yeah, you do take forever.
I take a long time because I will analytically determine each score of each word. It's bad.
All right, Dr. Reed, let's go on to scene 7.
All right, Dr. Reed.
Oh, I was going to have you introduce. I'll introduce it. So
you can't say let's go to scene 7 and just expect me to. All right, let's go to scene 7. Well, Keane, scene 7 is a great example of I don't even know. What was the next scene? Isn't it a stand-up? Doesn't the episode end with
No.
him in the apartment?
It does, but there's definitely a cut, and then there's the passage of time, and then we're in Jerry's apartment again, but it's like people are hanging out like at a wedding reception in Jerry's apartment for some reason.
Oh
like,
yeah, I forgot about this part. Yeah.
That's where they have it. And, like, for people that watch Seinfeld, everybody knows about Uncle Leo. Like, he's the uncle that always gets talked about. But in this scene, we get introduced to, like, this really suave-looking man named Uncle Mac. And he has the funniest line in this episode, which is, I'm writing an autobiography. It's about my life experiences.
And what does Jerry say to that?
I don't know. He's like, you don't say. Something.
How about that?
But... yeah, how about that?
Yeah, what? I thought Jerry replied with something funny. He might have just said like, "Oh, all right," but yeah,
What,
I thought that was pretty funny.
I don't care what Jerry said. He's not funny.
Yeah,
Uncle Mac is funny.
We've established that. And I don't think we see Uncle Mac again. That was the only time we see him.
Maybe in season 1.
Yeah,
maybe.
I don't know.
But, one note that I had is that everybody looks good in this scene. Like, all of the outfits are great. And it made me wonder, like, I always thought, like, early 90s was worse than late 90s because you have, like, some rollover from the 80s. Mm-hmm. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe early 90s is people dress sharp.
I think it depends, too, on the formal attire versus, like, kind of casual attire. But even in the different eras, because I feel like the formal attire of the early 90s looked better than the formal attire of the late 90s.
Yeah.
I guess you could argue for either decade or section of the decade for casual wear. Both had its good points and bad. The one thing I do like about I don't know if you've ever seen the music video for Steppin' Out by Joe Jackson.
No.
The music video takes place in New York, and it's, I think, the late 80s is when that song came out. In like late 80s New York, in all of its like weird sleaziness, like high class New York sleaziness, is such a cool like but like, you know, it's awful kind of aesthetic, but like still kind of like, I don't know, what a cool time in history. Like that kind of like high roller American Psycho-esque kind of culture of the late 80s.
Home Alone 2, Lost in New York.
Exactly. Yeah. Donald Trump, what does he do? Does he tell him where the bathrooms are or something?
The elevator, I think.
Oh, yeah.
It's that way.
Yeah. Look at how far we've come from humble beginnings.
Yeah.
Anyway,
why couldn't, if somebody from that movie was going to become president, why couldn't it be Tim Curry?
Why couldn't it have been Macaulay Culkin? Seems like a pretty chill guy.
Yeah, even better. Oh, come on. All right, you're going to have to edit this out, son of a bitch.
What, did you stop recording?
Okay. No, just the computer keeps going into sleepy time. Oh. But yeah, I agree. Early 90s, look, the clothes were fitted, the ties were skinny, Jerry looks good, everybody looks good.
Yeah. I do remember Elaine's outfit from this scene, which is very nice.
There's a great joke where Jerry's cousin or somebody is like, "Hey Jerry, you gonna ride with me to the wedding?" And Jerry goes, "No thanks, I'll take my car," because I think him and Elaine are gonna ride together. Yeah. And he's like so disappointed. He's like, "Oh, I brought the wagon. Why did I bring the wagon?" And look, it's a funny joke, but I don't feel bad for this guy, okay? You could at least, like, touch base with Jerry ahead of time, make sure he's going to ride with you. Don't just assume.
That's true. He seemed upset in a way that would indicate, like, maybe he didn't want to pay for the gas to get there in the wagon. Perhaps the wagon takes up a little bit more gas than the... Although I'm sure the last thing on people's minds in the early 90s was the price of gas at this point.
Yeah, I'm sure that apparently this guy cared about it.
Yeah, this guy was upset enough that he's
worried enough about it to get upset, but not worried enough about it to talk to Jerry about it.
I mean, he's just a little baby, is what he is. He's a little whiny baby.
So ultimately, he was a big baby. You should, anybody who's listening, go watch the episode. This guy's a big baby.
That actor's in a lot of other stuff too. I don't know that actor's name, but I know I've seen him in other things.
Yeah, Joey Christensen.
Is that who?
I made that up.
I know. That I could tell was made up.
Anyway, so this episode ends with Jerry and Elaine kind of talking about how, like, they have to get used to one another flirting with other people and how they want to remain friends. And I want to ask you, can you remain friends with somebody that you've broken up with, like Jerry and Elaine remain friends?
I guess it depends on Jerry and Elaine's relationship. Any relationship I've been in, I do not think I could. Well, I know I couldn't because I'm not.
And I'm not really either, but I think the difference is, well, no, I don't know. I'm in a I'm in a long-term relationship, so it's like I don't think that Kayla would want me hanging out with exes of mine as much as like, Elaine and Jerry hang out.
Yeah, and I think if either of them, I mean, we're critically analyzing two fictional characters, but I think if either of them had found a partner and were dating them for a while, they probably would just naturally have drifted apart from each other unless they were really, really good friends. But I think it works for them because their characters both seem like relatively down-to-earth, easygoing people. Yeah. I don't think the majority of people that I've seen are not that, so I think that's the reason why. or it's probably also that I'm totally neurotic, so that's probably plays into it as well. Yeah.
That's a big time, for sure. Yeah. Okay, so Jerry has one funny joke. Okay. That's not like super funny, but the episode ends, we get his final stand-up spiel. Oh boy. And it's short, but he's talking about like being friends after a breakup, like him and Elaine. And he says it's like two magicians trying to impress one another because you already know each other's tricks. And I just thought that was kind of cute because he's like, two magicians hanging out. One pulls a rabbit out of his hat. The other one's like, okay.
Yeah, I get that. I didn't think
maybe
it was
not funny. Maybe cute. Maybe cute.
It's a charming observation, not good stand-up material, I don't think.
So that completes us doing the scene by scene. I wanted this to be a half an hour. We're at 50 minutes.
Okay. We'll probably edit a lot of stuff out.
Look, if you like it, cool. Yeah. You get more content. So I'm interjecting a couple things here. At the top of the hour, I said that this was the Robert San Francisco podcast. It's actually the Bob Sacamano show.
Yes.
And we'll get to Bob Sacamano eventually.
I wonder when I don't know when he's first mentioned.
I'm not sure.
It might not be for a while.
It might not be till like season 3 or 4. But anyway, we'll get to him eventually. And I just wanted to also introduce a rating system here. So I think at the end of each episode to kind of like keep them in order, and maybe we should start like a spreadsheet to keep things.
That's probably a good idea. I'll keep a little document on my computer.
And we can make that public like somewhere. And anyway, so to go off the cuff and not really have an idea of like relative, I can kind of like picture other episodes of Seinfeld and where this would fall in my rating.
But before you go on,
okay,
how about we start, unless you were going to say this and then I apologize for interrupting you. Let's start with episode 1. So we have a baseline of kind of what we're going for as far as the rating system. And I think because episode 1 is the pilot, it's neither the greatest episode of all time, nor is it the worst. Maybe we should start episode 1, let's say 5 out of 10. That's our baseline. That's our control. You don't think so?
I think it's better than that.
You think the first episode's better than a 5 out of 10?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think a lot of jokes fall flat. I think it's solid. There's a lot of good things.
Listen, you have to consider it's the pilot episode, and Jason Alexander comes in strong.
Jason Alexander carries the first episode by a long shot.
You can make your score whatever you want. For episode 1, I'm going 7 out of 10. You can give your score and average it.
All right, let's say this instead of. Because I feel like there needs to be some sort of variables. Are we just rating this on our general enjoyment of the episode?
Okay, how about this? We will make a few points about each episode. I'll go first for episode 1. Then you can go, and then we'll do episode 2.
Do you think maybe this is a little too complicated? Should I have just said 1 out of 10?
No, it's fine. Listen. I like the pilot. It's a pilot. It's really good for a pilot. A lot of like sitcom pilots are not very good.
Yeah.
This was original, an original idea. It was interesting. Jason Alexander comes in super strong. We already discussed that Jerry wasn't funny, but I think Jason Alexander and Michael Richards make up for it in the episode. Yeah. So is it a perfect Seinfeld episode? No, it's not. It's not like the yogurt episode, which is, flawless.
Yeah.
But it's pretty good. I go 7 out of 10.
You're going 7. I'm going to write this down. So for episode 1, you're doing 7 out of 10. I think Jason Alexander absolutely nailed his character the first episode. Jerry fell flat on a lot of scenes, which, he is the main character. Elaine is not in the episode, which is a big bummer. Kramer is half of the Kramer that we know. Yeah. They did a good job because the overall awkwardness of Seinfeld in itself comes through already in the first episode. I'm I was kind of just saying 5 out of 10 earlier to give it a baseline, but I do think I will give it a 5 out of 10. I don't think it was. Okay. It wasn't great. I'm not going to consider the fact that it was a pilot because I've watched shows with great pilots. I think it was good, but it wasn't great. I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 10. Plus, I like the way that feels in my head that I'm giving the first episode an even score.
Okay. All right. Yeah, and that neuroticism comes back.
Absolutely. So we got episode 1.
That averages to a 6 out of 10. My math is correct.
I think it might be. So let's do episode 2. We just got done talking about it. What are some key points you'd like to say about it?
Look, episode 2. Again, look, the writing, as far as like the plots are great. Yeah. Like, I like the idea of staking out to like not have to interact with an X to get a number for somebody that you want to be with. So I think points for the original plot. I'm taking points away for the continued misogyny of Jerry Seinfeld's jokes. Fair. And there was not nearly enough George in this episode. Yep. And I have to say, I was not as entertained by this episode as the first one. Yeah. So I'm going to give this one a 3 out of 10.
Wow. Going right down to 3 out of 10. I agree with you on a lot of points. George is... I mean, unless George is in every scene of the show, he's not in the show enough. I mean, the show depends on him. But I liked the scene that he was in. Elaine knocked it out of the park for her introduction as a character. Jerry was a little funnier in this episode, I think. I think he had a lot of good little one-liners. Gotta knock points off for the illegitimate father figure. I don't like how they kind of didn't really hit the nail on the head with that guy. I'm glad that they switched it up. I think overall, and I will say too, I don't think this episode's plot is quite as relatable as a lot of the plots of other episodes. Right. I think this is a pretty specific situation.
A lot of Seinfeld plots are like relatable with a little bit of hyperbole, like somebody's a close talker and then they talk like really close all the time. Yeah. You know? This is like a little bit more hyperbole. Yeah. Like, I don't know anybody that would really do this. Yeah.
I already, if I was in Jerry's position, I would have easily just asked Elaine the number. I didn't quite get the awkwardness with that, but I don't know. I think for those reasons, I think I'm going to give it a 3 out of 10 too. I think it was pretty stale. Not bad, not the worst, but not great.
And I should preface too, this is going to be controversial, but I should preface that, even a 0 out of 10 for a Seinfeld episode is leagues better than any like primetime shit on TV today.
Would you say a Seinfeld 0 out of 10 is a Big Bang 10 out of 10?
No. I would say that a Seinfeld 0 out of 10 is like a Friends 10 out of 10.
I don't understand. This is probably going to be controversial. I don't get how anyone likes Friends. That's what I'm saying. That is the most unrelatable show of all time.
That's what I'm saying. But I mean, today, like modern day shows, what are people watching? Young Sheldon? What is that shit? It's a spin-off, like prequel to to a show that nobody watched. Well, I guess people watched.
It's also it's a single camera show with no audience, right?
Yeah, like I think that The Big Bang Theory is filmed maybe not with the live audience, but it could be. It's like a multi-cam.
It is a multi-cam show, but Young Sheldon is. I've never seen an episode. All I know is that it is a single cam show.
Young Sheldon's filmed like Malcolm in the Middle, very similar.
Now Malcolm in the Middle, that's a whole other podcast. I could do a podcast on Malcolm in the Middle. I love that show.
You know, when I was a kid, I got called Frankie Muniz all the time because I got a big head.
Does Frankie Muniz have a big head?
Yeah, Frankie Muniz has a big head compared to his body.
I guess I never noticed.
Hey, I'm going to end this episode before I have a stroke. So... Thank you for tuning in for the Bob Sacamano Show. I've been Keane. This is Cody. You can check us out on Twitter, Facebook. You can listen to our podcast on Spotify. Hopefully on iTunes. I'm still waiting for it to get reviewed and like okayed by Mr. Apple.
Which I think is ridiculous. It should only take a few minutes to do a scan for copyrighted material, and I highly doubt there's some individual listening to an hour of two people talking about Seinfeld.
I don't know. They probably want to make sure Bob Sacamano's not a Nazi or something. So.
Well, hopefully he isn't. We don't know much about Bob Sacamano.
Oh, also you can check us out on YouTube as well.
Oh, look at that.
Right. And for a little bit of interaction, if you would like to hear your name on the podcast,
oh my gosh,
feel free to tweet at the Bob Sacamano Show, and we will give you a shout out in the next episode.
And we will also describe you as a Seinfeld character.
Yes. Yeah.
All right, let's end this gosh darn thing.
All right, I'm done. All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.